Hello, welcome back to the channel. Tottenham Hotspur have beaten Villarreal 1-0 in their Champions League opener. It wasn't pretty by any means. It wasn't fun to watch, especially in that second half, but it doesn't really matter. All that matters in a game like this, particularly in this new format, which we haven't been in before, all that matters is getting a result, especially at home. Especially in these kind of games where we're really expected to win. In this new format of 8 league games, I think kind of like 5 wins and a draw, certainly 5 wins and 2 draws, kind of guarantees you a place in the top 8, which is where you want to be to avoid the punishment round. So in reality, getting a first win and a clean sheet as well, again, Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero doing brilliantly alongside Pedro Porro and Jed Spence. Really important result for Spurs. And again, shows, more about what Thomas Frank is achieving at Tottenham in such a short space of time. Wolf Mauler in the comments says, I'll take it. Wolf, I will take it as well. Phil Moss says, Big Up Barnaby gave a first-class commentary on Big Up, mate. Yeah, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. John Mansfield says, enjoyed your commentary. For those of you joining on YouTube, I do all the watch-along commentary over on Big Up. So if you want to join me for future watch-alongs, you can do that by signing up to my Big Up community, and the details are in the description box below. But back on YouTube now, and yeah, just delighted to be able to discuss a Champions League win with you guys. Tottenham add to their what was previously 20 games, now 21 games unbeaten at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in European football. Villarreal, I think a decent team, pretty toothless up front, which maybe you could guess with, a player like Iosi Perez playing up front, realistically. He never really ripped it apart in the Premier League for Newcastle. So for him to be now starting in the Champions League is a bit of a surprise. But there was definitely one key moment towards the back end of the game, which is where we lost our shape, lost a bit of control in midfield, a poor header across his central midfield from Rodrigo Bentancur, and they were in. And Mickey van der Ven had a choice to make. And he got his body across their striker, and he managed to do it outside the box, with the striker going a bit wide. And as a result, not only was it not a penalty, but also it was only a yellow card for Mickey van der Ven, and Nicola Pepe, the ex-Arsenal player, did not manage to score from the free kick, enabling us to keep our clean sheet and get that victory. Nearly 100 of you guys watching concurrently now. Thank you so much for your support. Do press like on this video. The more likes we get, the more people I can talk to in the comments during it. Really appreciate it. Harry D says, a win is a win, clean sheet too. And Harry, and that's him saying it there. And Godfrey Drummond says, hi again, Barnaby, a top commentator. Appreciate that, mate, as well. Des, more importantly, Des Chandler says, a win, 3 points, clean sheet, and we move on. Come on, you Spurs. And that's right. We move on Saturday, 3 p.m. Really enjoying these Saturday 3 p.m. games, by the way. We have Brighton away, a game that we lost last season, if memory serves, with us having been 1-0 up. And again, I think probably not too dissimilar game to the Man City game, where I think Brighton will have a lot of the possession and Tottenham will be trying to do what we did against Man City. Really press them high, press them into making mistakes and hit them on the transition, a little bit like we did today. Noah says, I'll take the win, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And Sligo Spurs, congrats to the boys from the lane. Noah also adding good performance defensively. I could not agree more. Godfrey says that Brighton are a bogey team. Not sure about that. Are they? Are they our bogey team? I guess they beat us. I guess they did the double over us last season, didn't they? They beat us on the last game of the season, didn't they? I remember after our Europa League. I mean, frankly, all the players were hungover. But more importantly, tonight, what do you have to do in the Champions League? What do you have to do in your first game? You have to win it. 1-0, and then gives us a good chance going into our next game, try and add to it, try and keep building the points up. I think there's a chance Tottenham could do in the Champions League what Villa did in the group phase last season, which is, have an amazing start to it and therefore get in that top 8 really high up. And that led to Villa getting all the way to the quarterfinals. And Spurs have more history in the Champions League than Aston Villa since it's become the Champions League. We've made it to a final before. So as a club, we shouldn't be overawed by the possibility of going into a quarterfinal if we can get there against anybody. So, yeah, that's looking a long way ahead, but it was good. Sligo Spurs also saying huge interception from Helena in the final seconds. Completely agree. He looked good. He was able to help us shore it up when he came on at the back end there. Louis Andrews says, we have our best midfield in years and we're playing long balls to our sub-6-foot attackers. We need to get Xavi in that 10 to help mix up the play. I think that's a really good point, Louis, and thank you for your comment. Really appreciate it. But what I would say is, I think even if Xavi is playing in the 10, I think Thomas Frank wants us to be playing in the channel a lot. I've heard him talk about it. He wants us, when we're under pressure in the back line, which we were from Villarreal a lot today, he wants us to play in that kind of 4-2-4 shape and miss out the midfield and then try and scrap for the second balls. Solanke, one thing I will say is I hope that Thomas Frank is being honest about Solanke getting closer and closer to being fit, because Solanke really can hold the ball up well. He is at least, I'd say Solanke is an 8 out of 10 at holding up the ball in the final third, and Richarlison is probably for me more of a 6 out of 10 at that. So that will improve us a lot as well. Hawksfree says, I wanted more offensively, but that was a good performance. Yeah, I know what you mean, but in those kind of games, I think it's more like beggars can't be choosers, really. What I will say is, like, being unbiased, I think Villarreal will come away from it feeling very aggrieved. Xavi Simons should have been sent off for a second bookable offence, absolutely. And I think arguably they would argue that Van der Ven might have been sent off for that as well. And the ref let us away with both of them. Also, the only goal we scored was from an own goal from a terrible piece of keeping from their goalkeeper. So there we go. Nathan Cooper, thanks for your message, mate. So Spurs fans hated the high press last season under Ange. Why would they play that way on Saturday? Yeah, exactly. You can't have it. This team, we know this squad are not set up to play the high press very well. So the fact that we're not playing quite as high this season is suiting us. Hamish, thank you for your comment. Says, good win. The analysts I've seen have been very critical of our performance, but I think it's a good sign we came out with the result. Could have easily dropped points. Definitely missing Solanke, though. Yeah, completely agree. Critics are there to do a job. Pundits are there to do a job. Villarreal have a lot more recent experience of these kind of games than us, I'd say. And, we could easily, like you said, have dropped points there, and we didn't. And that's all that matters. David Turner says, we seriously need to work on our passing. So many loose passes at key moments, either setting them on an attack or messing up one of our own. I would definitely agree with that, David, in the second half. There was a mad period in the middle of the second half where we basically gave the ball away to them in central midfield 4 times in a row. And the only thing saved us is that they kept doing the same, giving it back to us as well. It was completely mad. So I kind of agree with you, David, I have to say. Sligo Spurs says, we got caned the other day by the ref. Today we got the breaks. Yeah, hopefully it'll, you get a bit of luck every so often, and I'm here for it. Godfrey Drummond says, Bodo Glimt away on their plastic pitch in freezing conditions. Another tricky tie ahead. Come on, you Spurs. Is that the next game? I think it is, isn't it? Actually, it won't. I think it's better that we play them there before the real winter. And I think Thomas Frank will probably look at how we did away from home there last time, playing very conservatively, and hope that we can do a similar thing. Chandy says, Simons got nutmegged and then missed the player. Would have been a harsh second yellow. Ref had clabbers today, but then he got one right, thankfully. Oh, okay. Are you saying there was no contact from Simons on the player? In which case, yeah, that shouldn't have been a yellow, but it looked bad in the moment, I have to say. Spurs fan says, OMG, what the hell did Johnson think he was on for, to give them back the ball every time? Well, that's my thing with Johnson. That's why Simons straight away in his 2 games playing on that left side has, for me, given us far more than Johnson has done any time recently. We know that Johnson can score goals, obviously, but we need players in that left wide forward position and the right wide forward position, which we have in Kudus, who are able to keep the ball, keep it so we don't, keep losing the ball. And Johnson, unfortunately, wasn't great at that when he came on. And Phil Moss agrees, says, yes, Johnson is very poor. Jack Burton says, thanks to the Villarreal keeper. Yeah, agreed. And P-Man says, I thought Frank was slow on the subs. I mean, proof is in the pudding, I guess. He'll be pretty happy with how it went. And Noah says, I think Frank should trust Odebear more on the left side. Maybe it's a bit of a hierarchical thing, the fact that Johnson has been at the club longer than Odebear. But Johnson is not playing that well at the moment, I have to say. Decadansk says, I would like to see Frank get the attack going like he did at Brentford. It's early days for Thomas Frank, isn't it? It really is early days. But look, I think the most important thing is Tottenham won the game 1-0. Clean sheet. Another good performance from the likes of Lucas Bergvall. In fact, before I go, what I'll do is I'll give my thoughts on the team. Vicario didn't have too much to do. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Pedro Porro, I think, did well in the most part. 7 out of 10. Romero, 8 out of 10. Van der Ven, 8 out of 10. I thought without those two today, we would have conceded for sure. Jed Spence, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. I thought he did his job pretty well. Kept Nicola Pepe mostly pretty quiet. And then into midfield, I will go Bentancur, 7 out of 10. Bergvall, 7.5 out of 10. Sarr, 7 out of 10. And then into the forward line, Kudus, I'm probably going to give 8.5 out of 10. I thought he was outstanding today, Mohamed Kudus. And then on the left-hand side, Simons, I'm going to give 7.5 out of 10. Really liked how keen he was to get on the ball. And then up front, Richarlison, I'll give a 6.5, 7 out of 10. TSOM says the ref did his best to ruin the game. Great result, horrible spectacle. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, TSOM. But in reality, in these games, like I said, just got to get over the line. Keep the run going. Keep the results coming in and get a good start off in the Champions League. Phil Moss says, we look really uncoordinated and disjointed in the second half. We did get a lot of good luck this game, and bloody right too. We're due some, lol. And B3CK says, a win is a win. I couldn't agree more. Sorry, Sligo Spurs says, Kudus was quite the workhorse as usual. Let me know in the comments, guys. Would you be giving Kudus the man of the match as well? That's who I'm giving the man of the match. If it's not Kudus, I would go for one of Romero or Van der Ven. P-Man says, we complain about no signings. We get signings. We have a strong bench, and we wait until very deep into the half to utilize it. Bergvall was gassed at the 65-minute mark. I'm not sure. I thought Bergvall was still putting in some pretty lung-busting runs after that. Peter Hoth says, Johnson better on the right, to be fair. Yeah, I guess that's true. Fair enough. Louis Andrews says, shame we don't have Doncaster before Brighton. Would love to see Romero or Van der Ven get a rest. Same with Kudus and probably playing a lot of football, both for club and country. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'd say the benefit is, Van der Ven is hardly having to put in any sprints a game now. I'd say maybe only 2 or 3 sprints today, whereas under Ange, how many sprints was he having to do? Regular sprints, testing those hamstrings. So, I think it's safer for him to play more games at the moment. Des Channer says, Liverpool scrape 1-0 equals champions at work. We win 1-0 equals poor performance. We go again. Come on, you Spurs. Bodo away next. Kelso 120 agreeing with me, saying Kudus was brilliant tonight. Phil Moss as well, saying Kudus man of the match. TSOM saying Pedro did well, but Kudus was my man of the match. Bergvall in for a shout as well. Bergvall is actually being interviewed now by Michael Carrick, Dimitar Berbatov, Wayne Rooney, and Gabby Yorith. And I think that shows just how much respect Lucas Bergvall is now getting within the punditry community. And that can only be a good thing for his confidence. John Mason, thank you for your comments. It's very sloppy, gave the ball away too much, got away with it. Kudus needs to be more aware of his surroundings, doesn't always need to beat players before he passes or crosses. I agree with that. I think Kudus is doing a little bit too much at times, but also at other times he's protecting the ball so well that I'm almost like, I understand why you're doing that, Mohamed, to be fair. So I don't have any problem with Mohamed Kudus whatsoever. I think his goals and his assists will come. That is for sure. Phil Moss says, I like Bergvall more and more. He's improving and his long throw is a great asset. Yeah, I mean, I have to say his long throw goes a lot longer than I thought it would. However, we don't win many of those long throws in the air, do we? We need to get our players in on the first ball. And P-Man saying Vicario has improved a lot. I've got to assume, P-Man, you're talking about his play with the ball at his feet, which I would agree with. He's looking very confident with the ball at his feet at the moment. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Do give the video a like if you haven't. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, do subscribe to the channel. I will try and get on tomorrow at some point to give my more considered, longer form thoughts on that game. But like I said, most importantly, 1-0 win, 3 points in the Champions League. Bodo away next. We know we can go there and get a good result. They'll want to get some revenge, but we know what we can do there. Fewer injuries there as well than we'll have from last time. And most importantly, Brighton at the weekend. If we could go to Brighton and get a result at Brighton, that would show such a fantastic start to this season. Enjoy your nights, guys. Watch the highlights as much as you want. And come on, you Spurs.